I've watched thousands of videos from the likes of my favorite creators, like Maddie Hapoya and Casey Neistat, Peter McKinnon, Jesse Driftwood, and Colin and Samir. And with all of those, I've come to one conclusion. I know what I need to do. My first viral video was a mistake. I climbed this tree and I was filming it with a GoPro. I was way up in the air, about 60 feet, cutting a 20-foot log out of this tree. And I spiked it 3 feet into the ground. Now that video went viral on TikTok. My phone blew up. I was so embarrassed because I messed up. And I went back to the internet and I found out that my math was wrong. And I went back and I cut a bigger notch this time. I did it in different size sections and I learned how to lay those logs flat. Another time, there was this giant oak tree that a storm knocked over. And a buddy of mine wanted me to go give them an estimate on cleaning it up and hauling it away. Now, I didn't have to climb anything. It was already on the ground. And I thought if I just had a bigger chainsaw, this is a piece of cake, no problem. Now, to give you perspective, for tree work, I try to charge around $100 an hour. Now, bigger outfits, they can charge $250 and up per hour, but they have a larger crew, better equipment, and they can get the job done faster than I can. So I think that that's pretty fair. I can do this whole thing for $700. That was a mistake. I tried to cut those sections and my saw would not cut straight. It was dulling my chain left and right. I had to keep sharpening the chain. And then I cut the sections into quarters. And then I cut them into sixths. And then I cut them into eighths. And by the time I was done, I was splitting this thing with a splitting axe and loading on the trailer. Another thing is I didn't have my own truck at the time. I sold my truck. So my buddy said I could use his, but it didn't really pan out that way. And I ended up using the homeowner's van along with the trailer. This job was a nightmare, and it took me 2 weeks from the time I got off of my day job about 4 o'clock all the way until dark. That was something I thought would be 7 hours, and it was way more than that. And then I just made a YouTube video recently about scally caps and how I have bought several caps, and many of them I do not like, or they don't fit properly. And the moral of the story is this: you don't know until you do. And I don't mean you don't know something until you do know something. I mean you don't know until you actually do something. I've heard it been said that ADHDers, kind of like myself, we get just as much of a mental reward, like a dopamine rush, from planning something and talking about it as the actual doing itself. And by the time we get to the doing, the motivation is fizzled out and we don't actually do it. Or maybe we've overthought all of the scenarios to where this is a bad idea or it might not work, and we scare ourselves out of it and we don't do. We just do a lot of talk and no action. You don't get to know a hammer by staring at it. You get to know a hammer by handling it, holding it, and using it. One thing that I learned a long time ago that was told to me was there's a difference between knowing God and knowing God. See, you can know of God. You can know the scriptures. You can know what he's done. You can believe in him even. But there's a difference between knowing about God and of God and actually having a personal relationship with him. Just like my wife. You know what? People can know about my wife. They can know her on an acquaintance level, even a friendship level. They can know my wife, but being married to her, my experience with her is so much more and so much deeper that we have become one. I know my wife in a way that nobody else does because of the experience. It's that experimental knowledge. And there's a second part to the YouTube trap. And that is, have you ever had somebody do something and you're like, oh, that is easy. I could do that, no problem. And it doesn't matter whether it's painting a picture or building something or making a YouTube video. You're like, I could totally do that, piece of cake. So then you go to do it. And it does not come out the way the other person said. And you're like, what gives? It looked so easy. And the second part of the trap is when you watch YouTube so much and you hear other people's stories and you hear all of the advice, you know all of the know-how knowledge. And when you go to do something and you realize that your actual hands-on knowledge does not meet your standard of what good looks like, then you want to quit. That's how I feel about YouTube. I have thrown away or nixed so many videos because I told myself they're not good enough. I can't create like them. I'm not going out and about the way other people do. That my house doesn't look nice enough to film inside. That nobody cares about my story. Maybe I'm too transparent and I'm oversharing too much about my personal life. People's gonna be controversial about this or about that. What if my belief in Jesus loses viewers? I have 1,001 reasons not to share my story. And I only have one reason to risk it all. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. For there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest. You have one life. So whatever your hand finds to do, give it everything you've got. YouTube is a never-ending resource of knowledge. And I'm not gonna stop watching or binging even and watching all of my favorite creators and dare I say even learn. But the trap of YouTube, it's not learning, it's not knowledge, it's not even failure, it's regret. It's trying to live vicariously through other people's stories and then not doing something yourself. There's two things that I'm giving all of my might. Number one is this YouTube channel. I'm just gonna throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. I don't really know how to niche down, and I don't want to niche down because I'm chasing after the things that excite me. And although I'm really excited about cameras, and I'm excited about a lot of other things, I don't want to be strongholded, and that's probably going to be bad for the algorithm. And that's one of those 1,000 reasons why I'm like, well, I just can't create because I don't know what story to tell. But you know what? Spaghetti at the wall. I'm going to start posting a lot more often, and I've already began. And number two, I'm chasing video opportunities in my local area. I just shot 2 things and it was really cool. I shot one that was a wing eating challenge fundraiser. And then another one I just shot, no joke, yesterday, a wrestling entertainment thing. And I'm chasing those type of opportunities to where I can try to promote local businesses and entrepreneurs and the things that I'm really passionate about, and at the same time grow my skill level when it comes to shooting and being a cameraman and editing and learning how to tell a story. We can spend thousands of hours watching somebody else's life and somebody else's stories on social media. But are we living ours? I'm gonna document my journey on this YouTube channel. And when I do other video gigs, I'm gonna bring you along the journey, and it may make me look unprofessional. It may expose me as I'm learning as I go, and I'm nervous, and I miss shots, and I make mistakes, and I embarrass myself. But you know what? I'm chasing something, and I want to document it and bring you along. Hopefully I can inspire you to do the same with your life. Like always, work harder and smarter. Stay diligent.